Swinging a drive, right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawly Jean.
This is season 4, episode 22 of the Fly the W podcast. Matt Shaw is demoted. Don't forget to listen, download, subscribe, and most importantly, review our podcast and follow all our socials. I'm at Crawly's Clubhouse on X, Blue Sky, and TikTok, and Crawly's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. You can email us at crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com.
And I am at Mully and Haw on X. Are you hearing me okay, Crawly?
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Now,
Did I go too early? Did I go too early, Crawly? Are you scolding me? Did I go too early?
Never. But we are here. We do have a demotion that we have to talk about. Matt Shaw back on the Iowa shuttle. And boy, oh boy, Dustin, it was, I never thought on a West Coast road trip where both you and I were just saying, don't get swept, to finish 3-3 and still feel frustrated or kind of disappointed. I mean, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I agree with you, Crawly. The frustration is there because you could have easily have been 4-2, or on the other side of it, though, you could say you could have easily been 2-4. And we had some player movement. We had some good with the bullpen. We had some bad with the bullpen. We had some good with the offense. We had some bad with the offense. So a little bit of everything. But again, I think the Cubs just played two teams that will be playing late into September and maybe even October.
Oh, I think there's no doubt that both of those teams are going to be in October. There were just certain little things that you sit there and I'm trying not to worry. I'm trying.
And defense, Crawly, something else to worry about. Defense this time.
I think there's a little bit of everything to worry about. And speaking of defense, Ian Happ is always somebody that is up on the score. And when we looked back at that series of the Padres, here's what Happ had to say.
Yeah, I know that's a tough one. Dancy's really good at getting out there. The way that we're playing Sheets there, I'm pretty straight up in dead left field, which is not as common for a lefty. Usually you're over towards the line just a little bit. Some of those. So I'm in dead left field. Dansby's really up the middle in that situation. And Matty Shaw's in a little bit. It's really hard for Matt to go backwards, run straight back to get to that ball. So Dansby and I both went after it. He had a really long run. I was kind of peeking at him in that situation, and I should have just put my head down and got to that baseball. It's that's one that I'm the first option there, and I'm the guy that's got to make that play, and should have put my head down and got to it.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda, Dustin. You're talking about defense, which is something that in general has been pretty good, but we saw some instances this road trip that it didn't look so hot.
Yeah, and that's one of the plays that will definitely stick out. There's others that we will go over as we go through this thing. You ready to get into game number 1 of this recent series against the Padres?
Yeah, the Cubs were riding high after they beat the Dodgers. So were the Padres, who swept the Rockies, and their pitching didn't give up a run against the Rockies all weekend. I don't know if you just saw this. They just let go of their hitting coach. And
I
Clint
did, and brought back Clint Hurdle. Very interesting.
Yeah, but on paper, the starting matchup to me favored the Padres, right? They had Dylan Cease taking on Tyone. But Jameson pitched a really good game, and the Red Hot Cubs offense was able to put some runs up against Cease, right? Padres jump out early, 1-0 in the third inning. Tyone, to me, made one mistake this outing, right? It's a 2-2 sweeper to Fernando Tatis Jr., and boy, oh boy, it was what you call the old cement mixer. You can see there, that's pitch number 6. That's an 80-mile-per-hour fastball, kind of dead middle of the zone. Really didn't have any movement. Tatis put it out.
No.
1-0, but again, that's what Tatis is going to do, right? And you think with Dylan Cease is on the mound, that's all the run support he's going to need. But the Cubs bat keep rolling, right? Top of the 4th, Justin Turner leading off. He hits one to Manny Machado, who can't handle it, E5. You remember the last series against the Cubs at Wrigley, Machado had a key error. The Cubs make him pay. Michael Busch keeps California dreaming. 2-run blast puts the Cubs up 2-1. Dansby would ground out, but Nico and PCA back-to-back doubles, and the Cubs are up 3-1, and then you're feeling good. And that was the score when entering the bottom of the sixth. Tyone gets Luis Suarez to ground out, but then Manny Machado works an 11-pitch walk. I mean, he's just a professional hitter. And so that's it. They got to call it a night for J-Mo. He's left after pitching 5 1/3 innings, gave up 1 run, 3 hits, 1 walk, 4 Ks. Almost, Dustin, almost got that quality start if you would have gotten 2 more outs. But the runner on first was on his ledger there. But you can't ask for much more from J-Mo against the Padres at home. I mean, that was impressive.
Impressive, but again, it's just eventually, Crawly. Eventually, he's going to have to go a little bit longer. After the game, he talked about how he wasn't 100%. Sounded like he had some flu-like symptoms, battled through things, but eventually, he cannot be the king or the prince of the quality start.
The Dustin Rhodes quality start.
The Dustin Rhodes quality start.
Yes. And so, I mean, Brad Keller's first out of the pen. He gets the first batter he faces, Gavin Sheets, to pop one up. Looks like an easy out. And that was what Ian Happ was talking about. There was miscommunication between Happ and Swanson. The ball lands between them. That's the mistake that San Diego, a great team like San Diego, is going to pounce on that, right?
Exactly. You can't give them extra outs. And this is something that as we go through this, extra outs were a thing.
Right. And so Xander, that should be 2 outs, right? But instead now you got 1 out, you got runners on base, and now Xander Bogart draws a walk to load the bases. Jose Iglesias hits a swinging bunt a few feet in front of him, trickles down the third baseline. Everyone's safe. Machado scores. Now the Padres are down 3-2. Former Cub Jason Hayward hits one that goes off the glove of Dansby Swanson, and now the game is tied. Keller strikes out the next 2 batter, but the drop pop fly, a swinging bunt, the ball off Dansby's glove, that allows 2 runs to score. So, I mean, that's not really on Keller. You know what I mean?
Yep. Not his fault.
I thought he pitched well. Tie game in the bottom of the 7th, and the Cubs have one of their classic meltdowns in the bullpen. Nate Pearson comes in and walks the first batter he faces, Fernando Tatis Jr. And Dustin, here's what bothers me right here. Take a look at that. This is if you're watching on YouTube, you have 5 pitches, and the one strike was a slider that he buried, which was good, but none of the other pitches were close.
Nope.
Like, they're not even in the strike zone. You have to look to see where the hell the pitches are. I mean, he wasn't close. And so right there, now the next batter's looking. He gives up a double, then an intentional walk to load the bases, throws a wild pitch.
Wild pitch.
Gives up 2-run single to Gavin Sheets to increase the lead to 6-3. Pearson then walks Xander Bogaerts before getting the first out for him on a Jose Iglesias ground out. He faced 6 batters before getting an out. Eli Morgan came out of the pen. He got the next 2 outs. He comes back out in the 8th. He walks the leadoff batter, then gives up back-to-back jacks to Tatis and Luis Suarez, and the Cubs are down 9-4. Morgan would leave the game with a trainer. The Cubs would score 1 more run, and they would lose this one 10-4, Dustin. But I mean, it was a close game. It was a close game. You had it, and then all of a sudden, just that bullpen just completely melted down. And I know they had a game against the Dodgers that they were coming in. I just wondered why they decided to go with. I mean, you got to test these guys. That's the thing, is you got to test these guys like Pearson. But boy, that was just bad.
It was an odd grouping, right? It was like they were going with their second tier. Let's go with all our second tier guys in this game, right? It just seemed, instead of mixing it up a little bit. Would you agree with that?
And again, yeah, but you got to wonder what would have happened if Happ calls for that ball. Right. And he catches
changes everything.
Changes everything.
Changes everything. Yep.
I mean, you just felt the momentum swing on that thing. And here's the thing, Dustin, that I sit, my season tickets are in the left field side, and sometimes I sit in the left field bleachers. I've seen this with Happ before, where either like PCA's calling for the ball and Happ just goes for it. He doesn't peel off. And in that situation where he's supposed to be the number 1 option, he's not there. I don't know what he's doing sometimes. I know he's a Gold Glover, blah, blah, blah.
I was just going to say he's a Gold Glover, so he's supposed to.
I get it. But
isn't it always, if the outfielder is running in,
yes.
I'm just saying this from what I remember from Little League, right?
Right.
When the outfielder's running in, and assuming that he's saying, I got it. You as the infielder are supposed to kind of peel off.
Same thing if the center fielder is calling one of the corner outfielders off. It's the center fielder's ball.
Right.
And
yeah.
so
he's in charge, right? He's in charge.
Right. And so I just have not seen that from Hap. I've seen, like I said, seen it happen 3 or 4 times where Hap and PCA. I see PCA calling for it, and all of a sudden Hap gets it, and you kind of see looks on faces and stuff. Tucker's only been here, what, a month? And I've already seen Tucker kind of realize, okay, if PCA calls it, I'm backing off. I just don't understand.
There was a play like that, I believe, yesterday where he really went out of his way, PCA, to go get a ball, and Tucker just, did what you're supposed to do and just kind of peeled off.
Right. And so for me, I'm taking a look at this and I say to myself, someone has to, it's hard because Ian Happ has the hardware, right? He's got the hardware. He's got the gold gloves, but I'm just telling you, I see it. You see it. I'm sure other people have seen it. It's, again, infielders coming out. You say, I got it. It's mine. And then Swanson's supposed to, I don't care how much he likes running. Why does everybody defer so much to Dansby Swanson? It's not your ball. Or if the coach says you're not playing today, you're not playing today. That's it. I don't understand why that doesn't make sense to me. Kind of
a lot of too much bended knee for you, huh? To Dansby Swanson.
Right. And again, if you're Kyle Tucker and you're absolutely killing it, then yeah, but I don't know. Anyway, the good thing, Dustin, is game 2, you got Shota Imanaga versus Randy Vasquez. And we talked about how this had to be a bounce back start for Shota after a rough outing against the Rangers. It wasn't Shota's best start, but he was able to grind out 5 innings and only give up 1 run. You guys had Tommy Hotovy on the Mully and Haw show, and this is what Tommy Hotovy had to say about Shota's mindset.
He definitely goes to a different place, when he's on the mound, and is an uber competitor. He studies the game. He studies the hitters. He knows how he wants to attack guys. He's a lot of fun to work with in that aspect because he's got the stuff to beat the best hitters in the game. And he's smart and understands how to navigate a situation, navigate a game, navigate a lineup. All those things are amazing, and how he goes about doing it. I thought last night he didn't have his best stuff just in terms of command and consistency, but he was able to come through in some of those big moments and make some huge pitches when he absolutely needed to. I think that's what we see at times with guys, or at least from young pitchers, is when they have their best stuff, they're great, but when they don't either have their best stuff or their best command, they don't have that gear that they can go to, or that gear they can turn on to kind of take them to the next level. But Shota does it. He does it every time out. He competes. He's going to give you a chance to win every time he's out there. So, I thought it was kind of one of those grinder games for him, and was able to keep us, like you said, in the game for those first 5.
Now, here's the thing about this, Dustin, is that he brings up some good points. Like people, when you have your best stuff, okay, easy. Well, how do you do when you don't have your best stuff? And Ben Brown, let's take Ben Brown, for example. He's really young, right? And you saw that start against the Rangers. That was kind of a catastrophe, right? He just didn't have his stuff that day. But then the next game, he's got his stuff and he looks like an ace against the Dodgers. But again, you're not going to have your best stuff every time out. And the question is, can you still give your team a chance to win even when you don't have your best stuff? And for Shota, it wasn't his best stuff. He walked guys, he got into jams, but he left after 5 innings, and he only gave up 1 run. That's what you can do. And so as I'm kind of taking a look at this right here with him, I looked at his numbers, of Shota's numbers, and he started 34 games in his MLB career. Dustin, he's never lost back-to-back games.
That's amazing. And plus, what is it? An unbelievable stat, right? When he starts for the Cubs, they typically go on to win those ball games.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the real issue for Shota was the 3rd inning. With 1 out, he walks the number 9 hitter, Martin Maldonado, which pissed the hell out of me all weekend. I
can't tell by the tone of your voice.
Right. But the amount of times they walked the 8 or 9 hitter was just ridiculous, right?
Isn't it?
And not only that, I mean, just look at the Padres lineup, how devastating it is. You walk a guy, and now you got Fernando Tatis, and then Luis Ariz, and then Manny Machado, and then Xander. No, you can't put those guys at the bottom of the order on because of that murderer's row that they got in there in San Diego, right?
Right.
So you walk Martin Maldonado, who can't hit, and now you got Fernando Tatis Jr. He singles 2 runs. Now you got 2 runners on. Luis Ariz takes a walk, which he never takes a walk. Bases loaded, 1 out. Manny Machado on deck, and Xander Bogaerts in the hole. But he's able to get Machado to strike out and Bogaerts to pop out to end the threat. But you end up throwing a lot of pitches in there, Dustin, where you didn't need to, right?
Yep. Wasted pitches, right? Mm-hmm.
Then in the 4th, with 1 on and 1 out and a runner on first, he gives up a double to Jose Iglesias to put runners at 2nd and 3rd with 1 out, but strikes out Jason Hayward, Martin Maldonado to put out that fire. Wouldn't get easier in the 5th, but it wasn't Shota's fault. Once again, the Cubs defense had its struggle. Shota gets the first 2 batters out, Dustin, and all the years of watching baseball, I've never seen this. Manny Machado's up. There's no score. You got to run it, right? You got to run her on. Machado's 0 for 7 against Imanaga at this point. Shota gets him to pop one in foul ground in right field, and Kyle Tucker has it clank off his glove. Gold Glover.
Again,
right?
Another Gold Glover.
Right.
Gold Glover. I had more comments about these situations than anything else that happened in this series.
Now Machado's got new life. He pops up another one near home plate. Third baseman Gage Workman calls for it. It clanks off his glove. That's the 2nd error in the Machado at bat.
Clank. Right. Yeah. Clank. Yeah.
Then on the 9th pitch of the at bat, man, he gets his first hit off Imanaga, a home run to put the solo home run to put the Padres up 1-0. So that would be Shota's last inning of work, but maybe he gets one, a little bit more. If again, that 3rd inning, he walks Maldonado, the 2 errors in that inning that extends the at bat with Machado. He pitched only 5 innings, gave up 1 run on 4 hits, 3 walks, and 7 Ks. But you know what, Dustin? The Cubs could have made Shota's day a whole lot easier if they could field the ball or hit with runners in scoring position. The Cubs were 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position and left 14 men on base. Top of the 3rd, they had runners at 1st and 2nd, 1 out, and then they had the bases loaded with 2 outs. Couldn't push a run across. Top of the 4th, PCA doubles with 2 outs. He's stranded. Top of the 5th, 2 outs. Kyle Tucker singles. Advances on a balk. Steals 3rd. Cubs leave him 90 feet from home. They finally get one in the top of the 6th. Dansby and Nico lead off the inning with back-to-back singles. Runners at the corners, no out. PCA lays down a bunt. Dansby scores to tie it at 1. Everybody's safe. But now you got runners at 1st and 2nd, no out. Amaya lays down a bunt, gets runners to 2nd and 3rd. You got only 1 out. They can't add on there. Right? Top of the 7th, runner at 1st and 3rd, 1 out. Cubs can't get insurance runs. Top of the 8th, 2 out. Birdie walks and steals. 2nd, Ian Happ pops out. Top of the 9th, 2 outs. Michael Busch doubles. Dansby strikeout. The Cubs had multiple runners in scoring position from the 4th through the 9th inning. Every inning from the 4th through the 9th. But they were only able to score 1 run.
Boy, that stat is just burning a hole through me.
Oh, killing me. They were finally able to get the winning run in the 10th inning. Dansby Swanson was the Manfred man. Nico Horner leading off, hits a triple off Yuki Matsui, but the Cubs strand him at 3rd instead of getting an important insurance run. And although the Nico hit the game winner, the game really belonged to the bullpen, right? After the debacle the night before with the pen, I thought that the bullpen absolutely, this was the bullpen I wanted to see. Daniel Palencia, 1 inning of work, no hits, no runs. Merriweather, no hits, no runs. Hodge gives up a hit, no runs. You got Presley. He doesn't give up any hits or any runs. And Thielbar, who I've been hard on, didn't give up any hits or runs, Dustin. But when I look at that, man, that was just really, really impressive. And when you talk about Ryan Presley, he pitched his 2nd 1-2-3 inning in a row after not having a 1-2-3 inning in his first 7 appearances. So now you get, Daniel Palencia, 5th inning or 6th inning, he's throwing 100 miles per hour on the speed.
Man, does he throw gas? Wow, does
gas.
he throw hard.
And then in the 10th inning with a 1-run lead and the Manfred man on 2nd, Caleb Thielbar struck out pinch hitter Connor Joe, got Elias Diaz to hit a grounder right back to him, and they intentionally walked Tatis Jr., and then he got Luis Ariz to fly out. And the thing about that, with Caleb Thielbar, he faces for all the first two batters he faced, he threw curveballs. And so what does Luis Ariz think he's going to get? Curveball. First pitch, he hits a fastball right to PCA. Game's over. That was a great bullpen outing, but that right there, the runners with scoring position in this game scared the living hell out of me because we've seen this before.
Yep, we have seen that before. It's a stat that, gosh, we used to beat the heck out of because they just were so bad at it. Just terrible. Just absolutely terrible.
Now, game 3 is Matt Boyd versus Nick Pivetta. Great news as Seiya Suzuki and Carson Kelly are back.
Yes, back in the lineup. Yep.
Unfortunately, it didn't make much of a difference as Nick Pivetta shut the Cubs down.
Yes,
he pitched
he
6
did.
innings, gave up 1 run, 4 hits, 1 walk, and 6 Ks. Cubs' best chance came in the 3rd inning. You talk about bottom of the order. Carson Kelly leads off with a single. John Birdie draws a walk, and then Ian Happ singles to load the bases. No outs, and you got your 2 best hitters, Kyle Tucker and Seiya Suzuki. Tucker makes contact, hits a sac fly, so 1 run is in, but Seiya Suzuki hits into a double play, ending that threat. Bases loaded, no outs, your 2 best hitters up, and you only get 1 run. That was hard, man.
Yeah.
Pivetta would
Again, wasted opportunities, right? We're sounding like broken records, but wasted opportunity.
Right. Pivetta would sit down 9 of the next 10 batters. Ian Happ led off the inning, that inning with the single, but after Kyle Tucker flied out and Seiya popped out, Ian Happ was caught stealing, which is something that the Cubs really haven't, we haven't seen that much of. Matt Boyd, I thought, looked good against the lineup. His only blip came in the third inning.
Look good again, yeah.
He sat down his first 7 batters, 1 out in the 3rd. He walked the number 8 hitter, Elias Diaz, who's hitting .212, right? Then the number 9 hitter, 30-year-old Tyler Wade, who started his first game on Monday night for the Padres, hits a single. Tatis would hit an infield single that, it was a hard play, but Nico, I thought he could have made it. Diaz scored to tie the game. Arraez would line out for the second out, but Manny Machado singled to put the Padres ahead 2-1. Boyd picked off Machado to end the inning, but the damage is done. Bottom of the 5th, 2 outs. Tyler Wade gets another single. Nico almost got him on that in between the legs throw. Did you see that?
He sure did.
that was awesome. But
that would have been a top highlight.
Right. I think it's going to be on the Cubs Con, the movie they always play right at the opening ceremonies.
Yes.
But Tatis would then reach on an error by Nico, and Luis Arraez would reach on an infield single. Luckily, Boyd got Machado out to end the thread. Boyd would pitch 5 1/3 innings, gave up 2 runs, 6 hits, 2 walks, and 3 Ks. Now, I thought it was interesting, Dustin, that they went with Daniel Palencia back-to-back after he just got up, right?
I agree, Crawly. That made me scratch my head as well.
He finishes the inning. And so to me, okay, great. But then he comes out in the 7th and he walks Tyler Wade again, the number 9 hitter. He gets Tatis and Arraez to line out, but Manny Machado, nice piece of hitting. Palencia gets ahead of him 0-2, throws a slider. Machado dumps it down the line at third base, and Wade comes around to score. All of this because he walked the number 9 hitter. Now, the insurance run there would kill the Cubs because PCA led off the 8th with a solo home run to make it 3-2. What a road trip PCA had, man. What a road trip.
He was shining on the West Coast.
I mean, absolutely amazing. And but then Luke Little made his 2025 debut. Did not go well.
Are we sure he made it? Are we sure that was a debut?
He looked really good in Iowa, and that's Iowa, but he walked the bases loaded. And the frustrating thing, it was the bottom of the order. Jason Hayward, Gavin Sheets, Tyler Wade, all left-handed batters.
That's what we talked about earlier, right?
Right.
That's what we talked is walking the guys at the bottom of the inning or the bottom of the order already. You can't do that. Are you surprised that he was left in?
You have to start to develop these guys. I mean, you got to start to develop. You can't just sit there and take a guy out every time he doesn't look good. You want to see him work through it, and he didn't. And that's how you get in the circle of trust, right? You get into the circle of trust by showing, look, I'm not going to walk.
Sounds like a Disney song, Crawly.
Right. I'm not going to walk guys. I'm going to be aggressive. I can get out of jams, and he didn't do it. And so Fernando Tatis Jr. had a 10-pitch at bat before taking ball 4. That was Little's 4th walk in the inning. The Padres get that run back, and once again, Robert Suarez slammed the door on the Cubs. But Dustin, the skipper was not happy after the game. Craig Counsell had some words that he was not happy about.
Yeah, we walked too many hitters today. We walked, the wrong hitters, like in situations that are good matchups. And you can't do it. And then on a day when, they pitched well, we walked Hayward left on left. We walked Sheets left and left. We walked Wade twice. It's just, we got to those are gonna hurt you, and you're putting yourself up against it to win a game when you do that.
Dustin, 3 of the 7 walks Cubs pitchers issued came around to score in that game. That's the difference right there, right?
That is the difference. That's
Now
the
it's
difference. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, absolutely. You can't again, like we talked about a couple minutes ago, Crawly, you can't give the freebies away, right? You can't give extra pitches. You can't give bases. You can't give extra bases to teams that we both agree are going to be playing in October.
Now, look, you might have to do that against Tatis Jr. You might have to do that against Manny Machado. There may be walks there. Jason Hayward, Elias Diaz.
But not the guys in front, not the guys in front of
Wade.
them. Right. Not the guys in front of them, right.
I mean, Dustin, we're lucky because San Diego came into this game with missing a couple key guys, Jake Cronenworth, Jackson Merrill, their stud center fielder. So you had opportunities, but again, walking Machado, walking Hayward, walking Hayward, Diaz, Wade, Maldonado, those type of guys are going to kill you.
I thought we talked about the last time they played San Diego. They were no longer allowed to walk the former Cubs right fielder.
Right. The Cubs were 1 for 3 with runners in scoring possession. So, I mean, you didn't really have a lot of opportunities. The defense committed an error. That was Nico. And there were a few other plays that didn't look clean. There's things to be happy about there, Dustin. The Cubs went 3-3 against 2 teams that had not lost a home game. That was the first time in MLB history that a team snapped 2 separate 7+ game season opening home winning streaks in the same year, right? And you take a look at Nico. Nico had he's had a great start of this year. This is a guy we didn't know what he was going to do because he didn't even play the Tokyo series. He was out injured. And what has Nico done? To me, Nico has been one of the most clutch guys on this team right here. Take a look at
surgery. That surgery did him well.
The highest batting average with runners scoring position since 1974. This is from Marquee. Minimum 400 at bats. The best with runners in scoring position, Mark Grace. Then Aramis Ramirez. Larry Bittner from you guys from the 70s. I think Scott Nelson is in the room. Derek Lee. You always knew he was clutch. Nico Horner's right behind there. I mean, that was just great, Dustin. I loved it. But at the same time, you see some trends that are worrying you. Kyle Tucker's cooling off. You got, we don't know how Seiya's going to do. It's just the first game back. So, you're just kind of hoping he kind of gets back there. But you're seeing Cubs that weren't hitting with runners in scoring position when they were earlier. So this has been a tough schedule and they've done a good job. But again, we talked about this on the last episode. No one's going to feel sorry for you. Nobody's going to cry about Justin Steele. No one's going to care about your tough matchups in April. You're going to have to go out there and play these games. And, 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position, dropping 2 fly balls, not making plays, walking bums, basically. That's not going to cut. That's not going to cut it against the teams you're going up against. And the Padres made them pay.
The Padres made them pay. Great point, Crawly. You're listening to the Fly the W podcast. This is episode 22 of season number 4. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Leave us a 5-star review, please. You can also email Crawly and I, Crawly's Clubhouse at gmail.com. Don't forget, you can watch us on Crawly's Clubhouse YouTube page. Of course, we're also on the internet right now doing a live show. All right, so they come back to Wrigley, Crawly. That game will be tomorrow. Today, as we're recording and doing this live, it is an off day, but let's see how the Cubs sit in the standings.
Yep, they are still in first place, 12-9. The Brewers won't go away, 10-9. Reds and Cardinals tied at 9-9. Pittsburgh at 7-12 in the rear. So, you're not going to complain about being in first place. I think we would both be thrilled to think if the Cubs finish April in first place. But, just there's games that we've looked back and every team has them and just can be frustrating sometimes.
Yep. Take some, some go your way, but this case, too many didn't go their way where they could have been much better.
Yeah. Now we got some news, Dustin. How about the return of David Ross? Team USA coaching staff. He's going to be the bullpen coach. Mark DeRosa's the manager. You got Brian McCann over in there, Andy Pettit, Skip Schumacher. You got Matt Holliday. This is making me feel old that all these guys are
David
managers.
Ross still on the Cubs payroll, or was that end last year?
That ended last year.
Okay. So he's technically not employed right now.
Correct. So I'm glad to see him getting an opportunity to be on Team USA, the World
Now,
Baseball
do you
Classic.
think that's by his choice? I mean, do you think I thought he was pretty good on ESPN in the TV booth? Do you think he's decided to just keep be on the bench?
I think he's kind of kept a low profile lately, and I think this is the first time we're really seeing him step out since then. So it's going to be cool to see Rossi back out there. And the World Baseball Classic was a lot of fun last time. My only regret, I was in spring training when that happened, and so I didn't get. I would have loved to have, if I could do it all over again. Some of my friends went to go see England play in Arizona at Chase Field when I was out.
Okay.
I didn't go. I stayed in spring training. I wish I would have gone if I could do it all over.
Well, you're dedicated to your craft, Crawly.
Yeah, I got to see Cubs spring training, right? But good to see. Now, Dustin, I don't know if you saw this. The Athletic released a poll of top front offices in MLB. So just, they poll 40 of the top decision makers from across the sport, asking each to rank the top 5 front offices in baseball. You cannot vote for your own team. So 40 of these executives, you get to pick 5 front offices that are the best. And you can't vote for your own team. And there's a point value for each position. 10 points for the best for first place, 7 points for second, 5 points for third, 3 points for fourth, and 1 point for fifth. They get anonymity, right? And so this is what people are thinking of front offices. How do you think the Cubs did in this?
I guess would be middle of the road.
Okay, so here we go right here. These are the people that actually got votes, and there's no surprise, Dustin. The Dodgers, clearly the best. I don't think anyone would disagree. Then the Rays, Brewers, Guardians, Yankees. You got the Braves, Phillies, Diamondbacks, Orioles, Padres, Mets, Tigers, Astros, Rangers.
I don't see the Cubs, Crawly.
Twins, Royals, Mariners, Red Sox, Reds. The Nationals even get a vote. Nobody, not one of those 40 execs gave a vote to the Cubs front office.
Wow. Now, you think that's because the Cubs have fleeced them maybe over the years? I mean, that seems a little harsh.
I'm just, I don't know. For me, if you asked me who my best front office is, my top 5, I mean, there's no way you could not say the Dodgers, the Rays, the Brewers, the Guardians, the Yankees. I mean, you look at what these other teams are doing, especially a lot of the small market teams. You got to do it, and they're doing it without spending the money that the Cubs are. So how are the Cubs spending? Again, I think we agree that they should spend more, but it's not like they don't have money that they're spending. It's not like they're not spending $200+ million, and you should be getting better results than not being.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that they're overall cheap is not correct. Maybe they don't spend the money correctly, but they're not overall cheap.
Right. I'm just saying that they're cheap relative to what they make would be the better argument. That's the argument. They're cheap relative to what they make. They make $200 million. They could easily spend $200 million. They could easily spend more with what they take in revenue, which teams like the White Sox or Tampa Bay can't do, right?
Good
when
point.
You have 1,000 people going to a game in April while the Cubs are drawing 40. I'm just telling you right now that but again, regardless, the other teams don't have that. So you should be able to muscle the NL Central just with your payroll. So it's just ridiculous that the Brewers were constantly having to worry about the Brewers when they're not paying anybody. Yeah. So what are they doing right? And they're making right decisions with their front office. Would you say the Cubs are? I don't know. I really don't.
Not enough. Not enough. They've missed more than they've hit. But keep on swinging, Jed. Keep on swinging.
So the Cubs made a flurry of moves after Monday night's meltdown, Dustin. Let's go over the list right here. Eli Morgan is on the 10-day IL with a right elbow impingement. Nate Pearson takes the bus to Iowa. Matty Shaw joins him. That was the big one right there. That was the lead. And then Vidal Brujan is back from his 10-day IL stay. Luke Little comes back, and Daniel Palencia. So when I saw these moves, Dustin, all right, first off, let's talk Matt Shaw, right? Because, I mean, were you surprised by that move? Let's go that route.
A little early, but I'm not surprised. I mean, he was hitting 170, but the stat that stuck out, and again, usually I am not the Joe metrics guy, but the lack of hard hit balls, that really stood out to me.
Right. So when you take a look at Matt Shaw, the hard hit balls, I thought he was playing a good third base, right?
think he plays a solid third base.
I think a solid. I guess solid. He did have some errors. I'm not going to pretend like he didn't. But if you take a look at the 2025 season, yeah, he was struggling as of late. He's slashing 172, 294, 241. He's got a double and 10. He had a home run, 3 RBIs, 10 walks, 18 strikeouts. Dustin, I guess the thing that when I take a look at Matt Shaw, they were pretty much saying the entire time it's the kid's job, right?
Right. Right.
There was a little bit.
They gave it to him. There was no real competition.
Right. And so if you're sitting there and you say, okay, it's your job, and you could have gotten the third baseman, Alex Bregman. You could have gotten Alex Bregman, and you didn't. And so here's the thing, Dustin. You knew what the schedule was. Yep. You knew you'd have to face Dodgers and Yamamoto and the Padres and Dylan Cease and all the guys that they throw out there. You knew that you were going to throw down against teams like the Rangers and the and the D-backs. I mean, think about the D-backs. Wait till you see what we got coming up this weekend.
Ooh, doggy.
The Phillies. So this is what you're going to give Matt Shaw and judge him on? If you were not going to sit there and be committed to Matt Shaw, then I would have rather you just sat there and let him take the first month and a half in Iowa and then bring him up after you get through this hellish schedule. Let him get his feet under him.
No, yeah. I mean, I think it's because they made it out like they were taking him. Maybe they shouldn't have taken him to Japan. Maybe they should have. They took him and Workman out to Japan, and if I remember, Workman didn't even get an at bat, right?
And John Birdie they took too. And so you could sit there and to me, if you were going to make a move like this, then you weren't going to be committed 100% to Matt Shaw, then don't call him up. Don't call him up. Wait, the schedule gets easier in May. In the middle of May, the schedule starts to get easier. Why not just wait then? Let him have a couple more at-bats at Iowa and then bring him up. I just don't understand.
That's a good point. I mean, I have another question as far as that goes. Jordan Wicks. Why take Jordan Wicks out of Iowa and he hasn't thrown a pitch?
A lot of times
he hasn't thrown a pitch.
A lot of times
not throwing a pitch.
They do that because of emergency type situations and they want to have a guy close, right? Like if they were in Chicago and they weren't in San Diego out on the West Coast, then you don't worry about taking him. But where do you get a guy if you need him right away, right? So that's
I think the Ricketts have a jet. I think you can get there pretty quick.
They're not going to go to Iowa and pick up Jordan Wicks and then jet him out there. I mean, it's here's the thing.
Why not? Why not?
I don't know. He's trying to break even, Dustin. But here's
biblical losses, Crawly.
Biblical losses. Here's Jed Hoyer on sending him down.
Pretty much. I mean, we look at Schwarber, Happ. Rizzo, Javi, all those guys have gone back at some point, and this is part of it. It's just really hard to break into the big leagues, and even guys that sometimes seem like they had established themselves need to go back at some point for a reset. So I don't look at this as a negative. It's almost part of the process, and I'm sure he learned a lot. We faced a lot of really good pitching. Obviously, it's been a great learning experience for him, and I think he has the kind of head on his shoulders. I think he'll take what he learned, go back down to Iowa, think about it, and I think he'll come back, better and more ready to go. And I think that when you look at all the guys that I just mentioned, that Craig mentioned, I think all of them, at the time were not thrilled about it, and then I think all of them later on would admit that it's probably the right thing at that point, because I do think that this league is unrelenting, and I think at times you just need to take a step back before you can take a step forward.
All of it makes sense. He again, a lot of people just don't realize how hard it is. And there's a lot of failure in this. Sandberg went 1 for 33 to start his career. That's just part of that. He almost got sent back down. Okay. But he listed guys like Javi Baez, Kyle Schwarber, Ian Happ, PCA. He listed all those guys. That's going to happen. It just doesn't make sense. And Dustin, can we stop with deeming guys' successes and failures based on short sample sizes? I mean, to me, this is ridiculous. You know who is one of the top home run hitters in baseball right now? Former Cub.
Matt Mervis.
Matt Mervis. Everybody, what a bum. Guy can't hit. Guy this, guy that.
Change of scenery, right? Change of scenery.
I don't think it's as much as change of scenery. It's just a lot easier if you're just
given an opportunity.
Given an opportunity. Given a chance. Stop doing that. People were freaking out in spring training because Cam Smith had monster numbers in the Grapefruit League. Ooh, like, come on. Can everybody just calm down a little bit on some of this stuff? Matt Shaw, I believe, will be fine. Maybe he will, maybe he won't, but I don't know based on what seeing him go against some of the best hitters in some of the most difficult climates and crossing multiple time zones and countries. I'm not going to judge him off that. That's just ridiculous.
Right. So you're not happy about the move. That's what you're saying.
I just, it doesn't make sense to me as well. They saw red flags. And when you start to really struggle, then you can kind of get out of the way you do things. Right.
Right.
Like,
right.
and they saw that. I'm sure they're like, okay, we got to put a stop to this. I just don't think the planning was really well. I would have, like I said, preferred to call him up in May when the schedule gets easier, let him get his feet underneath.
I think they've got to change that batting stance. I think they do.
Maybe
Maybe
not. I couldn't tell you that. That's beyond my.
I can't wait. I'll just tease it now. I can't wait to talk to Ron Coomer about this tomorrow on the Mully and Haw show. He'll be on at 8, and I think that'll be a very interesting conversation.
All I'm going to tell you is, what kind of career did Craig Counsell have? The guy looked like he was trying to scratch his lower back with the bat. That did look like the most uncomfortable. It looked like the most uncomfortable batting stance in the world. And how many rings does that guy have? I think he has 2 World Series rings, doesn't he?
Unfortunately, he's got none as a skipper.
Well, all I'm saying is I don't know yet, but Nate Pearson was definitely disappointing. He's a big dude. He throws hard.
Yeah, he needed to go, but I mean, Luke Little's been no better. I mean, Luke Little might
again, Dustin, one outing.
Trip. Yeah,
one outing.
I overreacted on that one. I said he should have to parachute out when the plane was going over Iowa on its way back to Chicago. Luke Little should have had to jump out and go to the Cubs.
You need a left-hander that throws heat, and he's got to be able to do it. Okay. And again, there's going to be growing pains. Ben Brown against the Rangers looked like garbage. You'll see this sometimes where guys just don't look good, especially young guys. It's going to happen and you have to live with it. The hope is you have enough depth that you don't need to get young guys and try to learn on the job. That's the hard thing.
Speaking of depth, Crawly, Javier Assad got his first rehab assignment under his belt the other day.
Yep. 3.1 innings, allowed 1 run on 4 hits, walk 1 and struck out 4. So that's some good news. Through 66 pitches, 43 were strikes. Tyson Miller pitched the top of the 6th inning, retired the side in order. And so I'm really hoping he struck out 2 batters. He's a guy that was so important last year. He looked horrible all spring. It seems like he's starting to get whatever happened. It's getting better, but I'm hoping that Tyson Miller can come up here. And again, just give these guys a break. But Daniel Palencia and Luke Little are 2 guys that throw heat in a bullpen. You saw it when it works. Daniel Palencia is another guy, Dustin, that could lose his command like this.
Yep.
I'm just telling you, it can happen and it's going to happen. The thing is, you got to space that out. You can't have too many of those type of starts. Luke knows he can't have what happened the other day happen again. And I'm guessing it won't. And if it keeps happening, then he's going to be back in Iowa. But these are guys that can throw some heat and can really do some things. And I'm very curious to see. Don't give up on these guys after 1 outing.
You are listening to the Fly the W podcast. This is episode 22. It is season number 4. Of course, we're talking about the demotion of Matt Shaw, but Crawly, it's time to turn the page, if you will, as the Cubs are back at the Federal Landmark Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Diamondbacks. And they'll be playing these games, weather permitting, in the daylight, like God intended.
Yes, sir. 120. Diamondbacks started 2025 facing the Cubs in a 4-game series in Phoenix. I was out there. The Cubs ruined the D-backs opening day festivities by outslugging the Snakes 10-6. The next night, Javison Tyone had some struggle. He gave up 2 runs to Eugenio Suarez, and the Cubs lost game 2 8-1. In the 3rd game, Kyle Tucker hit a 2-run homer, his first as a Cub, and Matty Shaw, we talked about homer to put the Cubs up 4-1. Eugenio Suarez hit 2 more home runs in the 9th. Cubs squeaked out a win 4-3. And then, Dustin, the Cubs had a chance to win the series. They're up 6-2 after a great start by Matt Boyd, but the bullpen gave up 8 runs in the 8th inning. Nate Pearson, Eli Morgan were behind that too. And the Cubs had to settle for a series split, dropping the finale 10-6. Now, they won their next series against New York, against the Yankees, but they dropped 2 of 3 to the Nationals before winning 2 of 3 against the Orioles and the Brewers. They're finishing that series off against the Marlins right now, while the Cubs are off. So we'll see what happens. But Dustin, one big difference from the first time that the Cubs played the Diamondbacks is that Arizona will be without the services of one of their best hitters, Ketel Marte, who's on the IL with a hamstring injury. He was slashing 346, 469, 462 when he hurt that hammy. So needless to say, Cubs catch a little bit of a break on that one.
That's a break. That is a break, no doubt. All right, Crawly, one of our favorites. Time for the tail of the tape. Tail.
Here we go. Now, when we talk about this, the batting average, Diamondbacks have the edge. They're hitting 259, fourth in MLB. The Cubs are right behind them, 255, seventh. So not a huge difference right there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's slug once again, Dustin, just like you had to deal with the Padres and the Dodgers. They will hit mistakes. And their slug, they're 456. They're second in baseball, while the Cubs are 431. They're sixth. Runners in scoring position, Dustin, the Cubs still have the edge. But remember, they were first last time we talked. And now they're down to fourth. They're hitting 280 with runners in scoring position, while the D-backs are 16th at 244. When it comes to starting pitching, Dustin, you look at the starters that the Diamondbacks have. They're really good, but they haven't had a lot of luck. The Cubs lead this. The Cubs starting pitching ERA is 9th at 364. So we've seen some improvement, while the Diamondbacks are 459. They're 25th in all of baseball. The difference, Dustin, the bullpen. The Diamondbacks are the best in baseball in WHIP. Walks, hits, and innings pitched, they're first. The Cubs are 28th with 1.65. Not good. Defensive runs saved, the D-backs have the edge in that. They have 6 defensive runs saved, which is 6 in all of baseball, while the Cubs have 2, which puts them at 16th. So the bullpen is something. You saw it against the Padres when they just come in and shut you down. It's hard. And once that starting pitching gets clicked in, we know that the Diamondbacks have it. They just haven't really done that great. The Diamondbacks are going to be one of the toughest team in baseballs. I think you could have, God, it's amazing the amount of good teams that are going to come out of that NL West. It's the toughest division in baseball.
By a mile too, right? By
not even
an
close.
Absolute mile. So something to definitely keep an eye on. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's get into the matchups. First one, again, Friday afternoon over at Wrigley. You're not going.
Nope.
You're not going to this one. You're waiting till Saturday. Who's
Yes,
got
sir.
your seats?
I sold it to some friends of mine.
Okay.
So,
all right.
yep, they got the seats. They'll be there, and Colin Ray is going to be there. He's appeared in 4 games for the Cubs, 3 of them out of the pen. He didn't factor in the decision yet, but had 7 strikeouts in 9 innings of work. But he's
so right now this is Justin Steele's replacement for the moment.
Correct, for the moment. And so he stepped up big after Steele was on the IL. He pitched 3.21 innings, gave up 1 run on 4 hits, 1 walk, and 5 Ks against the Dodgers. He threw 68 pitches, 42 of them strikes, which was 68 pitches was a lot, I thought. And so obviously you want to keep stretching him out. Hope he can go the same amount, maybe a few more pitches. But he hasn't had a lot of luck against the D-backs. He's pitched in 4 games against the Snakes in his career, 3 of them starts, but he has a 6.91 ERA and has given up 11 runs in 14 and 3rd innings of work. Corbin Carroll and Randall Grichuk have good numbers against Ray, but it's a small sample size. Carroll's 2 for 5 and Grichuk's 2 for 6. But at least Eugenio Suarez is 1 for 6 against Reyes. So maybe he doesn't hit a home run.
There's always a maybe.
Corbin Burns was the D-backs' big offseason acquisition. He hasn't gotten off to as good a start as he wanted to. He's 0-1 with a 5.28 ERA in 3 games, started with 14 strikeouts in 15 innings. He gave up 2 runs in 4 1/3 against the Yankees, 4 runs in 5 innings against the Nationals, and 3 runs against 6 innings against his old mates, the Brewers. But the Burns and the Cubs are very familiar with each other. Corbin played for the Brewers so many seasons, right? He's pitched 17 games against the Cubs in his career, 11 of those starts. He's 2-5 with a 3.36 ERA against the Northsider. Dansby, how about this? Dansby Swanson, he needs it. He's 12 for 24 against Corbin Burns. So he's 500. Ian Happ, 7 for 27. Nico, 4 for 17, though. Burns will use his cutter the most and then go to his secondary pitches, a curveball, a fastball, curveball, slider, and changeup. Game number
2. This is going to be a Saturday affair, and you're going to this one.
Yeah, the PCA bobblehead. I cannot miss that. I will be getting my PCA bobblehead. I'll have it for you next time we talk. But when you look at this right here, Ben Brown is 2-1 with a 5.09 ERA in 4 games, 3 of those starts with 20 strikeouts, 17 2/3 innings. 2 starts ago, Brown struggled against the Padres, gave up 5 runs on 7 hits, 4 walks, and 4 innings. But then against the Dodgers, he looked like an ace, pitching 6 shutout innings, giving up 5 hits, no walks, and 5 Ks. Ben has only one start against the Diamondbacks, a no decision where he gave up 1 run in 6 innings of work. No one on the D-backs has more than 3 at-bats against Brown. He's going to be taking on Zach Gallen, who was the opening day starter when the Cubs beat them on that Thursday, the 27th. He's 1-2 with the 4.64 ERA in 4 games with 24 strikeouts and 21 1/3 innings. Cubs faced him in the domestic home opener. He gave up 4 runs on 4 hits in 4 innings. Ian Happ hit a home run. And then on April 7th, he struggled against the Yankees. He gave up 5 runs in 4 2/3 innings. In his last start, he pitched better against Milwaukee. He gave up 2 runs in 6 innings. So Gallen's 3-2 against the Cubs lifetime in 7 starts with a 3.26 ERA. Kyle Tucker's had some success against Gallen, he's 5 for 15, but the rest of the team has struggled. Happ is 3 for 16. Dansby's 1 for 11, and so that's going to be a tough one. But Gallen features a 4-seamer, a knuckle curve, a changeup, and a slider.
Yeah, that's a tough matchup, and we'll see. Ben Brown, if he can put a couple of good starts back to back, and then on Easter Sunday, Jameson Taillon, Merrill Kelly.
I just have a message for Ben Brown. Look, I know you want to be the tough guy. Wear long sleeves. It gets chilly. Wear long sleeves.
No, I'm with Ben Brown. No long sleeves.
Oh God. Okay. This matchup is the rematch of the second game of the Arizona series. I was at that game too. And Jameson Taillon right now, he's 1-1 with the 5.40 ERA and 4 starts with 18 strikeouts in 21 2/3 innings. After back-to-back 6-inning quality starts against the A's and Rangers, he just fell short of the quality start against the Padres, giving up 2 runs in 5 1/3 innings. Got the no decision there. But Taillon did not have a quality start when I saw him against the D-backs in Arizona on April 28th. He gave up 6 runs on 9 hits and 4 1/3 inning and gave up 2 home runs to Eugenio Suarez. How about this? In 4 career starts against Arizona, Jamo's 1-2 with a 5.24 ERA. Suarez is 9 for 34 against Taillon with 2 doubles and 5 home runs. So he's only got 9 hits, and 7 of those are extra bases, 5 of them home runs. So just go the 4-finger route. That's what I'm saying on this one. I don't even bother throwing to him. Lourdes Gurriel is 2 for 21, and Josh Naylor's 3 for 13 against Jamo. 3 for 14 against Jamo. Merrill Kelly's 3-1 with the 5.57 ERA and 4 starts with 16 strikeouts and 21 innings. The ERA on all these guys looks bad, and a lot of it has to do with the Yankees. On 4-3 against the Yankees, Kelly gave up 9 runs on 9 hits in 3 2/3 inning. So that has that ERA very inflated. It shouldn't look like that.
It up. Yeah, that pumped it up for sure.
He gave up 2 runs on 6 innings against the Orioles and 1 run in 6 innings against the Marlins. So he's back on track. He shut down the Cubs offense in March when I saw him. He pitched 5 1/3 innings, gave up 1 run on a PCA double, 3 hits in 5 1/3 innings. Kelly is 3-1 against the Cubs in 7 starts with a 3.49 ERA. Justin Turner has the most success against Kelly. He's 10 for 26 lifetime. Ian Happ, 4 for 13. Nico, 1 for 11. Dansby is 3 for 17, and Tucker's 1 for 8. Kelly mixes a 4-seamer with a changeup, sinker, curve, and cutter. So he's got a big arsenal of pitches to play around with.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
So as far as who is hot and who is not right here, hot has got to be PCA. PCA is 9 for his last 24.
Yeah, and Fuego.
He got 3 doubles, 3 homers, 5 RBIs. He's slashing 375, 958 slug. How about Miguel Amaya, 5 for his last 16 with a homer and 4 RBIs, slashing 313, 353, 625. Dustin, I love seeing that Nico, PCA, Miguel Amaya when it goes boom, boom, boom. I love that. I think they're making some magic happen.
Yeah, I agree with him.
As far as the cold, I'm kind of tired of saying his name here. Dansby Swanson again on the cold list. He's 2 for his last 26, Dustin. And he's got, it's just 12 strikeouts to 0 walks. Maybe it's time for him to have I know he's got a day off, man, but you can't just keep letting it get that cold. He's slashing .077, .077, .077. So at least he's consistent. Justin Turner is not designed to be a starter. I really don't want to see him start. I don't care. I want to see Michael Busch.
Well, part of that was Seiya Suzuki for a little bit too, right?
Right. But I think that just gives further credence to that. He shouldn't be starting at first base if you got a healthy Michael Busch.
No, he's a liability. Yeah, he's a liability.
He's not designed to be an everyday starter. He's great for 1 at bat or, a pinch hit at bat, but he's slashing .067, .22, .067 in his last 15. As far as the D-backs, oh boy, you can't get much hotter than Corbin Carroll, who's 24 for his last 73. That's year to date.
Woo!
But in the last week, he's even heated up even more. He's 9 for his last 28, 2 doubles, 1 home run, 9 RBI, slashing 321, 345, 536. A guy that's flying under the radar that's been really good, and I saw him in Arizona, is Pavin Smith. He's their left fielder. He's 7 for his last 17 with 2 doubles, 2 home runs, and 3 RBIs. He's slashing 412, 500, 882. But he may be someone Cub fans are not really familiar with. So be really careful with Pavin Smith. Be careful with Corbin Carroll. Those guys are going to hit you. But cold, Dustin, Eugenio Suarez.
Well, let's hope that continues. Let's hope that continues.
He's cold because he's not playing the Cubs. That's what's happening. He's 3 for his last 22 with no home runs. So let's keep that up. 136, 208, 182. And then Lourdes Gurriel, he's 3 for his last 23, 1 home run, 3 RBIs. He's slashing 130, 192, 261. But boy, Dustin, that you're facing their 3 best pitchers. It's not going to be easy.
No, not easy.
And so we got some listeners. Justin Naseda says, I think the Cubs will be a 90-win team if they make a move for Pablo Lopez. That's a name that's coming up a lot. And Dustin, I don't disagree with Justin. My issue here is to get him, you're going to probably have to give up Owen Casey. And so if you can sign Tucker to an extension, then you can trade Owen Casey and you get Pablo Lopez. You got something cooking. Our friend Tom Cooper, great guy, Tom Cooper. I know him. He says, I'd rather have Shaw than Birdie. I'd rather see Shaw going through the growing pains in MLB. Tom, I respect you. I disagree with you on that. My only thing that we talked about a little bit earlier was just that idea of, I think they should have just waited till May when the weather warms up. It's not cold. You're not going to the West Coast. And he's got he got a few at bats in Iowa, heats up, and then goes in the easy part of the lineup. That would be my difference. I do think it's right to send him to Iowa. I just think the execution of how they did everything was wrong.
All right, prediction time. I think you went first last time. I will go this time. I don't think the Cubs will get swept. I think they'll win a game. Which game? I'm not 100% sure. Maybe tomorrow, but I'm hearing, crazy weather tomorrow. It's almost going to be 80 degrees, storms in the area, supposedly the wind blowing out to left center field. So if you're looking to invest, you might want to put a couple of dollars, a little beer money, pizza money, if you will, on the over. So I think the Cubs are going to win one, but this, as we pointed out, very, very tough pitching matchup against the D-backs here.
I'm nervous right now, Dustin, just because when I look at the numbers and I see what the Cubs hitters are doing, and you're starting to see guys like Kyle Tucker cool off, Seiya Suzuki cool off. These are guys that you need to really drive this offense. Hopefully their teammates can pick it out, but just looking at that pitching staff, to go against Burns and Gallen. Here's the thing. Ben Brown's a wild card. You don't know what he has, right? And then J-Mo against Merrill Kelly, I just don't like it that much. I got the Cubs winning 1 of 3. I feel like Fridays, I think Saturdays. No, I'd probably go Fridays. I go Fridays, their best shot, because they have familiarity with Corbin Burns.
All right. I thought maybe you were going, it was because Saturday, because you were going to be there.
I know.
All right, Crawly.
It to be Saturday.
That's a wrap. Thanks for everybody to tuning in to the live broadcast. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Got any questions you want answered? Email us, Crawly's Clubhouse, gmail.com, Crawly's Clubhouse, gmail.com. And you can watch us by subscribing to Crawly's Clubhouse YouTube channel. Happy Easter to all those who are celebrating. And it'll be great to have the Cubs back at home. Hey, Crawly, something else you and I were talking about. There was a tweet the other day. We've had all these late night games. Now until the middle of August, there will not be a game started by the Cubs that will start past 7:10 Central.
Yeah, that was my guy, the Praz Master. He's a great guy. He's in the bleachers a lot. And he pointed that out, and that was absolutely spot on. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about going back to Wrigley Field. I'm excited about the PCA bobblehead. Now let's get some wins. Go Cubs!
It's all over.